Today, we are diving deep into a world controlled not by, the whip of totalitarian fear, but by the velvet glove of pleasure.
Right. We're looking at the blueprint for the comfortable dystopia.
Aldous Huxley's 1932 novel, Brave New World, and then its nonfiction follow-up, Brave New World Revisited, which he wrote about 25 years later.
And what we have here is really a roadmap for control that feels, well, it feels much more relevant to our world today than almost any other warning from the 20th century.
So our mission is to pull apart the specific mechanisms, the biological engineering, the psychological management, and the chemical comfort that Huxley saw as the keys to total social stability.
Absolutely. The whole system is set in, AF 632, so around 2540 AD, and it's not about oppression.
It's about satisfaction.
Exactly. It's about eliminating every source of instability, family, art, tradition, and replacing them with three pillars: community, identity, stability.
And the really chilling part is how they use science.
Yeah.
Not to make people free, but to make them genetically and psychologically conditioned to love their servitude.
And that's the core question, isn't it? If you truly love your servitude, if you're truly happy, is it even oppression anymore?
That's why I have to keep asking. Okay, so let's unpack this, starting at the very beginning. The biological engineering.
Right. The world state literally starts by abolishing nature. They get rid of viviparous reproduction.
So natural birth.
Gone. Everything is moved into these hatchery and conditioning centers. They replace natural pregnancy with ectogenesis, growing humans in bottles and test tubes.
Which immediately cuts out all those messy, unpredictable things that come with family. Love, jealousy, grief.
Precisely. And because the government controls gestation, they can introduce the Bokanovsky's process,
which Huxley called the principle of mass production at last applied to biology. So break that down for us. What does it actually do?
It's essentially mass human cloning, but designed for specific jobs. They take a single fertilized egg and shock it with X-rays and temperature changes, causing it to split.
So instead of one human,
you get a batch of identical genetic copies. The average is about 72 viable embryos from one egg.
72 identical workers, ready for the factory floor. So the goal isn't just numbers, it's uniformity.
Exactly, and this is key. It's reserved for the lower classes, the gammas, deltas, and epsilons. This creates these huge uniform labor pools for specific tasks.
But it's not just about mass production. They actively engineer imperfections into them.
That's a crucial part. The alphas are optimized to be leaders, but the deltas and epsilons are deliberately made less intelligent, sometimes by adding alcohol to their artificial bloodstreams.
Why?
So they're incapable of thinking beyond their jobs. But here's the genius of it. They're also conditioned to be happy in that role. An epsilon is happy he's not an alpha because he doesn't have all that intellectual burden.
So contentment is guaranteed at every level because no one has the capacity to question their place.
Exactly. And once that perfect body is decanted from its bottle, the psychological management begins.
Right, from biological to behavioral control. And this is where we get one of the most famous ideas from the book, hypnopedia.
Sleep learning. Yeah. And this is where Huxley's genius for psychological control really shines. They discovered you can't teach a sleeping person, say, complex facts. The mind just doesn't retain them. But you can absolutely install moral and social conditioning. When you're asleep, your psychological resistance is at its lowest.
So we're talking about recorded voices just repeating slogans over and over again while a child sleeps.
Yes. It's not education. It's, as you said in the outline, inoculation. These suggestions they incorporate themselves into the subconscious until they become the child's entire worldview.
And the main goal of all this, it's not really political, is it? It's economic.
Almost entirely. It's about enforcing the culture of mass consumption that keeps the whole industrial machine running.
Mandatory consumerism.
They have to discourage any kind of thrift or repair. The slogans are things like, ending is better than mending.
The more stitches, the less riches.
Right. If you think about ending is better than mending today, that's fast fashion. That's the smartphone you have to replace every 2 years.
It's planned obsolescence. The idea that things are built to fail, so you have to buy a new one.
It's a philosophical necessity for their stability. If people started valuing permanence and repair, their whole economic system would just collapse.
Yeah.
Thrift is a subversive act.
And they even conditioned against deep emotional bonds. The famous line, everyone belongs to everyone else. It's about enforced promiscuity.
That's what they call engineered emotional dispersal. Think about it. Deep, exclusive bonds, love, marriage, family, those are the things that cause conflict, tragedy, and nonconformity.
So by spreading that emotional energy out into constant casual relationships.
Let's eliminate the chance for any profound destabilizing connection that could challenge the social order. They've engineered away the reason to suffer, so they've engineered away the reason to rebel.
Okay, but even in a perfect society, you're going to get moments of doubt or stress.
Yeah.
Some leftover human emotion is going to bubble up.
And for that, they have the third and maybe the most powerful tool of all, the pharmacological solution. Soma, the ultimate escape hatch. It's the product of 6 years of research to create the ideal intoxicant. It's a tranquilizer, a hallucinogen, all the pleasure of alcohol or opiates with none of the downsides. No hangovers, no addiction, no antisocial behavior.
It's basically an emotional safety net. But
Yeah.
you're saying it's more sinister than that.
Oh, it's a political institution. It's
Yeah.
used to guarantee stability, to quiet unrest, to snuff out any little spark of a subversive idea before it can catch fire.
This is where Mustafa Mann has that incredible line. He calls Soma.
Christianity without tears.
It's so powerful because it gets right to the point. Religion traditionally requires struggle and faith and suffering to get a spiritual reward. Soma just gives you the reward instantly.
Why spend years trying to be patient or virtuous through hard work when you can, and I quote, carry at least half your morality about in a bottle? Suffering is obsolete.
A gram is better than a dam.
1 cubic centimeter cures 10 gloomy sentiments. The slogans are practically religious instructions.
And when you look at our world today, this idea of instant risk-free bliss, it's not just a pill. We have digital somas.
The endless scroll on social media, binge-watching shows, the constant stream of content designed to fill every single empty moment.
It's the ultimate tool to avoid just being alone with your own thoughts.
That's it. Huxley saw this. A populace that's deeply thinking or contemplating or even suffering, that's a dangerous populace. A distracted, mildly euphoric one is a stable one.
Which brings us perfectly to the central conflict of the whole book, the clash between this engineered happiness and authentic human experience.
And that's all personified in the debate between the world controller, Mustafa Mond, and the protagonist, John the Savage.
Mond isn't a simple villain. He's an alpha plus. He's a brilliant former physicist who knows exactly what the world lost. He knows about art and science and truth.
And he consciously chose to sacrifice all of it. He decided that collective happiness and stability were the higher good.
He argues that guaranteed happiness is just, better than the messy, unpredictable world of truth and art. He has that line.
Actual happiness always looks pretty squalid in comparison with the overcompensations for misery.
He's saying all that great drama, all the passion in Shakespeare that John loves, it's just a byproduct of a broken, inefficient society.
Exactly. He's saying, we fixed the problems, so now your great art is just unnecessary. Why read Othello when you can just take a gram of Soma and feel good?
And John, who grew up on a reservation with only nature and a book of Shakespeare, he rejects all of it. He demands the right to the full, agonizing spectrum of what it means to be human.
He claims the right to God, poetry, real danger, freedom, goodness, sin.
And this leads to that incredible moment where he claims the fundamental right to be unhappy.
It's the ultimate rebellion. Mond offers comfort. John demands meaning, and meaning requires the possibility of pain.
But the tragedy is, his rebellion fails. He can't survive in that world. It ends in his self-destruction.
His failure just shows how incredibly difficult it is to hold on to individual freedom when the entire system, biological, psychological, chemical, is designed for collective comfort. The system is built to either absorb or destroy anything that complex.
And this is the bridge to reality. In 1958, Huxley writes, Brave New World Revisited. He looks at the world around him and basically says, my dystopia is arriving, and it's arriving faster than I ever thought.
Yes, and he sees 2 huge real-world forces pushing us in that direction. The first one, overpopulation. He was absolutely terrified by the rate of change.
What was the scale he was seeing?
Well, he pointed out that it took 16 centuries for the world's population to double between the birth of Christ and the death of Queen Elizabeth I. But by 1958, it was on track to double in less than half a century.
And he feared that this pressure would lead to, what?
To economic insecurity, social unrest. And in that kind of chaos, people demand order. They willingly give more and more control to a central government just to feel safe. He called it the straightest and broadest road to Brave New World.
And the second threat was over-organization.
Which feels even more relevant now. He was talking about how technology and economics were concentrating power into fewer and fewer hands. Big business and big government.
And the individual gets lost in that massive system.
They do. They lose their identity. They have to conform. He quotes the psychiatrist Erich Fromm, who said that the truly sick people in modern society are the ones who seem most normal.
Because their perfect adjustment to that abnormal society is a measure of their mental sickness.
Precisely. And this is what leads him to look at the new forms of manipulation he saw in Western democracies.
He had that great analogy, describing propaganda as having two faces, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Right. Dr. Jekyll is the rational side, appealing to facts. But the real power is with Mr. Hyde, the anti-rational motivation analyst, the psychologist whose job is to bypass your reason entirely.
And how does Hyde do that?
He exploits the hidden forces in our subconscious. Our fears, our desires. You're not buying a car, you're buying prestige. You're not buying makeup, you're buying hope.
They connect a deep human need to a cheap product.
And that completely bypasses your rational mind. I mean, that is the literal design principle of targeted advertising algorithms today. They are designed to be Mr. Hyde.
Huxley even regretted not including things he was seeing in the real world, like subliminal projection.
Yeah, flashing messages like, drink Coca-Cola so fast you don't consciously see them. He realized how powerful that could be, especially on people with lowered resistance, like tired people or children.
And his fictional sleep learning even turned up in a real experiment.
Yes, he wrote about an experiment in California where prisoners were listening to these inspirational messages about moral living through speakers in their pillows while they slept.
And Huxley's question was, if this works, who gets to control it?
Exactly. Even with the best intentions, should a government be allowed to use a tool that bypasses individual will and reason?
It all comes back to his central fear, that the drive for efficiency and stability, when you apply it to human beings, always ends up sacrificing individual freedom.
And the really fascinating insight is that denying suffering, insisting on this frictionless, happy life, it removes the possibility of anything sublime or truly meaningful. Life becomes, in Mon's own words, squalid. It loses its depth.
And that leads us to the final thought for you to consider. Mond claimed that a truly scientific dictatorship should never be overthrown because its subjects would grow up to love their servitude. In a world saturated with pharmacological and digital forms of instant contentment, are we actively choosing stability over the messy, painful, but necessary requirement of freedom, the right to be unhappy? What is our society's current Soma, and how often do we reach for a gram of it just to avoid a bam?